fix, boy, I bust up. They found a plan to make it rich. Middle finger up, for a hater in this bitch, boy, on my side. Let's get it poppin' like some high fries. I told him fuck the runner, cause I'm trying to catch the top guy. Give it up. This is Coochie Van, no Dooney truck. Say you got the soldier here, and we shoot it up. Niggas always capping nowadays, ain't nothing new. Pillow talking for the hoes, get clapped for acting cool. Pistol packing, double D's, and all these hoes, we in the stew. You move on, bitches popping out just like a zoo.
Evil as shit. Let's watch it. Hold up. What's this about Logan Paul's wife? What the fuck? Okay. I'm like, why the fuck is it muted? There we go. Alright, so we got the case of Despicable Joesph Zieler. I don't know how the fuck to say this nigga name, so don't dicky in the comments below.
What's that?
Not gonna lie, he just looked like he got, like, I'm not even trying to be funny, bro. He just looked like the type of nigga who would got bullied in school, bro. He looked like niggas used to take his cheese and crackers, bro, and fucking daycare and shit. Look, and, like, you should have knew this nigga was crazy when he had the. First of all, this nigga just got a buzz on the side. He got no fade, and then it looked like he got a toupee. This nigga is drawing. I'm just saying, bro. A nigga got no fade, just a buzz. This is straight buzz cut, bro. Yo, see, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Look. He look chill too. Look. He don't even look chill. Look, should have known from the tattoos and this busted ass haircut. Damn. Look at him with a straight elbow. And then they start wrestling him to the ground like that was gonna do something. He did what he wanted to do. He like, look. This him, bro. Look. These niggas got me life in prison. What the fuck? I'm about to fuck somebody up. Come here, let me talk to you. Bam, bitch. Nigga hit him with the bow. He said, bam, bitch. Bro, I gotta see that shit one more time, bro. It's not funny, but it's funny, bro. Look. So, wait, so they said now 20? Bam! Now 20 to the face. Come on. Ah, help me! Hey. I got her arrested like I'm a cop. I told her, man, she sucked on my god. I told her, chill, she coming. Wait. We just chilling, we on that block.
On May 9th, 1990, Jan Cornell, a dedicated hospital worker, left her 11-year-old daughter in the care of a close friend before heading out for a much-needed evening break. As dawn approached the following morning, Jan returned to what can only be described as a parent's worst nightmare, a chilling crime scene involving both her daughter and her friend. Local law enforcement exerted every resource, chasing down leads and interviewing countless individuals, but the perpetrator remained at large. It seemed the assault would languish in the cold case files indefinitely. However, after a span of over 25 years, the evolution of forensic technology offered a glimmer of hope. But with time, evidence can degrade and witness memories fade, making cold cases notoriously difficult to prosecute. The community and Jan alike were left to wonder. Would this technological breakthrough finally bring long-awaited justice for the heinous acts committed that fateful night? Let's dive in.
Trying to fix myself, chill.
It was a balmy and seasonably warm 80 degrees at 10:30 p.m. in Cape Coral, Florida on May 9th, 1990. For Jan Cornell, who lived in the Courtyards Apartments condominium community, it felt like any other night. Jan, a single mother of two, lived with her youngest daughter, 11-year-old Robin. She worked at Cape Coral Hospital alongside her close friend, 32-year-old Lisa Story. Earlier that day, Jan had helped Lisa settle into her spare room. When Jan's boyfriend invited her over to watch TV, Lisa agreed to watch Robin. Around 10:30 p.m., Jan tucked Robin into
They wasn't watching TV, they was fucking. They was fucking. That's inappropriate, I'm gonna stop.
bed for the night. She gave her daughter a goodnight kiss, said I love you, and headed for the door. As she left, she remembered not to lock one of the two front door locks as it was broken. Although the trip to her boyfriend's house was intended to be a quick visit, Jan unexpectedly fell asleep on the couch. She did not wake up until 4 a.m. Jan was in a rush as she had to be at work at 4:30 to start her hospital shift. With little time to spare, she returned home, but as she approached the front door, a strange feeling settled in, heightened by what sounded like footsteps from within. When Jan reached her front door, she found both locks were secured and she could not enter. Moving to the side patio, she noticed the sliding door was open and the kitchen light was on. As Jan entered, she found someone had taken photos of her two daughters off a shelf in the living room and arranged them on an ironing board. She immediately knew something was wrong. Jan ran to the upstairs bedrooms and was terrified by what she saw. Moments later, she dialed the police.
Tito.
In an interview with Cape Coral Police years later,
Bro, that's just so sad, bro. I couldn't even imagine, bro, walking in on your fucking child dead, bro. Like, that's insane. Like, you can hear the pain, bro. Especially for a mom. I feel like it's different for, like, a mother, bro, because they literally had to push them out and, be pregnant with them. I don't know, but it's just like, damn, bro. That shit sounds sad. I almost cried right there, bro.
Jan recalled what she experienced that fateful evening.
I actually found my daughter and my friend. I had been out for the evening, and when I returned home, there was an issue with my door, and I couldn't get in my front door, so I went around to the slider, and the slider was open. So I entered through the slider and got an eerie feeling at that time. Actually, I thought I was walking into my house being broken into. And I went up the stairs, and when I went up the stairs, the first thing I saw was my daughter, and she was in my bedroom. And out of the corner of my eye from the landing, I could see Lisa, and she was still in her bed. And then that's when my mind just was going 100 miles an hour trying to figure out what is going on here. And I, called 911 and tried to resuscitate Robin. And in my mind, I knew she was gone. She was cold. She was a little hard. And I knew that she was gone. But I still thought maybe I'd get a miracle. And I kept screaming for Lisa. I didn't know at that time that she also was killed. I kept screaming for her to tell me what happened here, what's going on. And I'm on the phone with 911 with Robin, screaming for Lisa. And then the police got there, and and here we are. The police got there and kind of invaded and to start their investigation. I think probably looking back on it, even though I remember every detail, I think maybe I was in shock. Because intelligently, like I said, I knew she was gone, but I just couldn't process how, why, who, what happened here.
Police arrived shortly after the 911 call and walked into a horrific scene. Lisa and Robin had been suffocated with pillows and then violated post-mortem. The killer posed Robin's tiny body. Whoever the perpetrator was, they took the time to get the photos from a living room shelf and arrange them on the ironing board. Jan believes they were intended as some kind of message to her, although she's not sure what. Police say the killer took several items from the crime scene, all belonging to Lisa, including her driver's license, credit cards, a checkbook, and a new wristwatch that she had bought as a gift for her boyfriend's birthday, which was 2 days away. None of the items have ever been recovered. Detectives also found a pair of white socks on a dining room chair that didn't belong to anyone in the house. They found a designer keychain with Toyota car keys sitting on a TV in Jan's room. The keys didn't belong to Jan or Lisa. Police believe the killer accidentally left them behind.
Damn.
Police recovered a complete DNA profile from the killer's bodily fluids, as well as blonde hair from the crime scene. They've
How did they
learned the
not
killer
catch
is a
him?
white male with type O blood. Law enforcement swabbed and talked to numerous individuals. Traffic records were checked for possible stops of a Toyota around the time of the crime, and hundreds of tips were reviewed and worked to no avail. Detectives would spend the next 15 years repeatedly going over the evidence, searching for anything that could help them identify a suspect.
It's crazy how like technology advanced so much because like back then it seems like it was, I'm not saying easier to get away with a murder, but it's like damn, they had nigga left his keys behind, all that, and they still couldn't catch this man.
Investigated everyone close to Jan and Lisa while also focusing on the community. They interviewed every resident in the 140 units of the Courtyards North complex and those living on surrounding streets. Investigators determined 19 neighbors near and around the condos were potential suspects. They narrowed that list to 10, including one man characterized as a peeping Tom who fled to Mississippi shortly after the murders. His ex-girlfriend had told police he was acting shifty after the murders. The man's hair was consistent with hair found on the bodies, a police report showed, but ultimately, he was not linked to the murders. Then, the double homicide was featured twice on America's Most Wanted. It first aired on January 21, 2006, and again on July 28, 2007. As a result of the national broadcasts, many tips came pouring in. Consequently, Cape Coral Police signed a retired New York City detective, Fidel Balan, to a 6-month contract to exclusively investigate the cold case and try to develop any new leads on the murders. Unfortunately, Balan was unable to solve the case before the expiration of his contract. In 2009, Florida passed a law requiring the collection of DNA samples from every person charged with or convicted of a felony, and from many defendants convicted of a special class of misdemeanors. Many years later, Jan continued to hold out hope that her daughter's murderer would someday be caught.
No.
I'm not giving up. I'm not going away. I'm not giving up. And thankfully, I've been able to keep the Cape Coral Police Department on board with my promise. I told them all about my promise. I promised the day I had to say goodbye that for as long as I was alive, I would never stop looking for who hurt them. And like I said, I've managed to establish a relationship and keep the Cape Coral Police on board. And they're still looking as well. We'll just keep doing this as long as, we can reach out and ask people, because I'm convinced in my heart and soul that someone still in this community may have knowledge of who did this crime, and
Bro, it's like she didn't even get to grow up and experience life, bro. That's the part that like saddens me, bro, when it's like these people kill these young kids or young people in general, where it's like they didn't even get to experience life for real yet. Like, I'm only 22. I still got a whole bunch of more life to live. So it's like, what the fuck?
keep holding back, and every year I say, it's time, please come forward. They're not helping themselves by keeping this to themselves. If anybody knows anything, which, like I said, in my heart and soul, I'm convinced someone knows, they need to come forward to the police department and they need to help bring justice to this case.
Jan did her best to move forward with her life given the circumstances, including marrying the boyfriend she visited the night of the homicide. She had taken his name but asked that she be identified as Cornell out of concern for their safety. In 2016, the Cape Coral Police Department ran a paid ad campaign on social media, hoping to cast a wider net in searching for information. Additionally, billboards were posted throughout Southwest Florida. On September 28, 2016, the Cape Coral Police Department assembled a press conference to provide an update on the case.
Last week, the Cape Coral Police Department detectives were notified of a CODIS database hit on DNA taken from a recent arrestee at the Lee County Jail that matched the suspect's DNA samples from the Cornell story case. Over the last several days, detectives worked tirelessly in interviewing this arrestee and obtaining a body warrant for additional samples to confirm the initial CODIS hit. The FDLE Crime Lab, who has been instrumental in this case over the last 26 years, expedited this testing. Detectives from our Investigative Services Bureau have been in constant contact with the State Attorney's Office
Bro, like, look at the pain, bro.
since this discovery. It is my pleasure to tell you that today, an arrest warrant was served on Joesph Zieler, last name spelling Z-I-E-L-E-R, white male, date of birth of 4/15/1962, for the murders of Robin Cornell and Lisa Story. We got him.
W mom, bro, because no matter what, she never gave up. She kept like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker, bro.
I just dreamt about this day, never knowing if it was ever going to happen, but I never lost faith, and I never lost hope that someday we would all know who killed my beautiful daughter and Susan's sister, Lisa. Well, we all know that miracles exist. I feel in my heart that there is a God because I prayed for this day every day for 26 years and could never let it go, how he tortured and killed my baby and my friend. And I thank every one of these men standing in this room for listening to me and for not arresting me for stalking them for 26 years. I cannot be more grateful today. I cannot be more happy. I want my daughter and my friend to finally rest in peace.
On August 27,
Rest in peace, bro.
2016,
Both of them.
54-year-old Joesph Zieler of North Fort Myers got into a heated argument with his eldest son. In the midst of that altercation, Zieler shot and injured his son with a pellet gun.
Bro, this nigga just look crazy. Look at his hair, bro. It looked like his scalp is coming up, bro. He gotta let it go.
The incident led to his arrest on charges of
I don't even
aggravated
care,
battery
bro.
with a
It's fuck
deadly
him, bro. He
weapon.
getting cooked.
Since the
I'm
charge is
roasting
a
the shit out of
second-degree
him.
felony, it triggered a DNA swab as required under the 2009 DNA collection law. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement notified Cape Coral Police when Zieler's DNA returned a hit on the computer software database known as CODIS. Additional DNA from Zieler was obtained and tested. The results matched him to DNA found at the scene of the
See his dumb ass. And the crazy part, bro, if he would have, like, say if he never done anything after that in his life, like he just chilled and didn't fucking shoot his son with a fucking pellet gun, he'll be alright. It's fucking ridiculous, bro.
Cornell Story murders 26 years ago. Zieler, who was 28 at the time of the double homicide, will face 5 charges, including 2 counts of sexual battery, 1 count of burglary, and 2 counts of first-degree murder. He was held in custody without bail pending trial and faces the death penalty. Zieler made his first appearance for the murder charges on the day after his arrest. After 6 years of delays, the trial of Florida versus Joesph Zieler would begin in May 2023.
Damn, this recent as fuck.
Jury selection starts this morning in the trial of the man accused of killing an 11-year-old and a babysitter in Cape Coral. Joesph Zieler is charged with the double homicide. It happened more than 30 years ago.
Prosecutors were confident they had a strong case for conviction and the death penalty. Body fluids found on the bedsheet where Robin was sleeping matched the defendant to a frequency over 1 in 700 billion, claimed lawyers for the prosecution. Additionally, they would hear testimony from Zieler's girlfriend of 26 years, who had started dating him the same month as the murders and broke up with him after his arrest. When asked about Zieler's preferences for intimacy, she described the same position in which Robin was found posed.
Yo, this is
Also,
crazy.
she
They
refuted
dipped into
Zieler's
this man's
claims of
sex
memory
life.
problems related to a motorcycle accident, saying that she never observed any such issues during their 26-year relationship. Zieler's legal team would offer a range of defenses, including challenging the DNA evidence, an alternate suspect, and stating the defendant was out of town when the crime occurred. Opening arguments were heard on May 16, 2023.
Before the CODIS hit, the defendant gets arrested for an unrelated charge. But the result of that is his mouth is swabbed for DNA. And that DNA is put into CODIS. That's how we get the match. At the time of the murders, he's living in Cape Coral, and he works at Marine Concepts of Cape Coral, which is very close to Jan's house. So in September of 2016, the day after the CODIS hit, CCPD brings Joesph Zieler there to talk to him. And from the word go, he is evasive. He tells them that
Let me fix my position real quick. Goodness. I'm gonna turn on this AC, yo. It's hot as shit. Don't look at my cup. Chat was up. That's cool. Is a late stream news. Oh, we lagging? What the fuck? Why are we lagging? Are we lagging on here? Why are we lagging? Alright, we should really. Alright, let me go.
in 1998 he had a motorcycle accident and has no memory of anything that happened the 8 years before that. Doesn't know his parents' name, doesn't know if he's ever even been to Cape Coral. He knows nothing. He makes it sound like he's completely helpless after this motorcycle accident, has no memory, and his girlfriend Bonnie has to take care of him because he's almost an invalid. And when confronted with the murders, he knows nothing. He doesn't know the people, the places. He has no memory. But you're also going to hear a statement that he gave to law enforcement in August when he was originally arrested on an unrelated crime. And he knows facts and can answer questions. He told them how he used to work in Cape Coral and has been with Bonnie for almost 26 years, and how he knows where he was the day his son was born in 1991. You're going to hear directly from the defendant's mouth and phone calls that he makes to Bonnie. He's instructing her how to get a bondsman and hook up the house for collateral, sell off his possessions, how she can become his power of attorney. Clearly someone that is capable of taking care of themselves. There are two different Joesph Zielers, the one you meet before being confronted with the murders and the one after.
My privilege and pleasure to represent Mr. Zieler here today along with Mr. Hollander. My opening statement's going to be short because, in all candor, we don't have to prove anything. It's the state's burden of proof in this case. We don't have to disprove anything. Mr. Zieler, if he elects to testify, may testify, or he may not testify. If he doesn't testify, you can't hold that against him because he's exercising his constitutional right. And you told us early on that you wouldn't hold that against him, that you wouldn't consider it, you wouldn't consider what he might have said had he taken the stand. But ultimately, it's his choice, and we will discuss that once the state rests their case. The Cape Coral Police Department, when they investigated this, literally went out and interviewed hundreds of people. They interviewed them, they took DNA from a lot of them, they took hair samples from a lot of them. What should be significant to you, though, is they didn't talk to Mr. Zieler, they didn't take any DNA.
I just got a question, though. Like, I don't know how lawyers do it, bro. Like, how, me personally, I don't think I would be able to defend someone who, like, fucking harm people like that, bro. I mean, it's all obviously, what's the word, alleged, but still, you know what I mean? Like, just me personally, I couldn't get behind that.
DNA from Mr. Zieler. They didn't take any hair from Mr. Zieler until 26 years later. And why was that? Because he was not on their radar. He was not a suspect in this case. Jan Cornell couldn't provide any real assistance to the Cape Coral Police Department about Joesph Zieler because he was basically nobody at that point in time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of physical evidence that you will entertain, and I agree with the counsel. Some of it gets used in testing. There were dozens and dozens of hair samples taken from inside the apartment. There were fingerprints, there were footprints Obviously, there were other body samples that were taken from inside the apartment, supporting the fact that there were many people who had been through the apartment.
On the trial's opening day, Robin's mother, Jan Cornell, took the stand. After 3 decades, she faced the harrowing task of revisiting the tragic night, examining crime scene photos, and recounting distressing details.
When I came into the room and I found her, I immediately touched her and screamed her name, of course, and she was cold. And
at that point, did you recognize that she was dead?
I did.
What did you do next?
I started giving her CPR.
Did you change the position that she was in?
I did. I moved her.
Did you move her to that position that we saw in Exhibit 44?
Yes, I did.
So the position you moved her into was then on her back?
Yes.
Did you actually perform CPR?
Yes, I did.
What did you notice when you started CPR?
That she had a lot of congestion, like she had really been crying.
Congestion from where?
Her nose, but then when I gave her breath, I could hear her lungs aspirate. And I knew she was dead then.
What did you do next?
I actually was doing that while I had 911 coming to help me.
So did you make contact with 911?
I did.
Did you stay with Robin until the police arrived?
I did.
During the cross-examination of Joesph Zieler, prosecutors questioned him about letters he had sent to Jan Cornell a year earlier. These letters would lead to charges of witness intimidation against Zieler.
Letter is coming, says Joesph Adam Zieler at the top, and then there's more, but that's the first part.
Yes.
And what are the numbers 47492/835-775?
That's my ID number followed by my booking number.
At the Lee County Jail.
Yes.
And the address of 2115 MLK Boulevard, Main Jail, Fort Myers, 33901, that's where you're being housed.
Yes.
And that letter was addressed to who, sir?
J.G. Batista and family.
At what, well, who, did you address this envelope?
Yes.
And who was J.G. Batista and family?
Well, I thought it was Jenny Gal Batista.
Oh, so you were trying to send this letter to Robin's sister then?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes. I was trying to send it to family, actually. So I guess I was trying to send it to everybody.
The whole Batista family?
Yes.
And in that particular letter, did you profess your innocence by claiming that it was a relative of yours that did this murder?
Yes, I was trying to defend myself because no one would listen to me.
Sir, it calls for a yes or no. Did you, in the letter, profess your innocence or allege your innocence by saying that a relative of yours had done these murders?
Yes.
Did you suggest, in addition to that, did you tell the people who this letter's addressed to that you slept with Jan Cornell, Janice, and a friend of hers in 1989, and therefore that's why your DNA is in the Courtyards North condominium?
Yes, I thought so because she didn't wash her sheets.
You know whether or not Miss Cornell washes her sheets?
How I got that is by the information I was given from you was discovery, and I thought that the only way my DNA could have gotten there was me sleeping with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller.
Did you sleep with Jan Cornell and Miss Deller?
It's possible because I was here.
Well, now you were here.
I mean,
ain't no way he did. Look at his mitt, bro. I'm not even trying to roast him. This nigga look like I'm trying to think. He just looked like one of those animated like pigs, bro. I can't remember what, bro. He looked like some cartoon character and I can't think of it right now.
I was here in December of '89. I testified to that earlier. And what I believe happened is I slept with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller, and they were just too much of a pig not to wash your sheets.
And during your direct exam by counsel, your attorney, you indicate you've never been in their condominium.
I'm speculating that the only way my DNA could have got in there is if I slept with them during December '89 while I was here for the month of December.
And then it would have to follow that your DNA would have stayed viable
For
let me finish my question. For if it was January, February, March, April, May of 1990, and then, well, okay, I don't want to make it a compound question. Your DNA would have still been there 5 months later.
Yes.
And that's because they're pigs and they don't wash their sheets,
exactly.
Right? You know that?
Well, I assume that.
Bro, this nigga is guilty as hell, bro. Like, he just sound guilty. His lawyers could have prepped him a little more, bro. Should have just told him to keep his mouth shut.
It's like you're assuming that
that arrest this nigga, bro. Take him out. He's guilty as shit.
But just so the record's
allegedly, because I'm not trying to get sued or anything. So allegedly he's guilty. I don't know for a fact. This is all for entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer, because y'all motherfuckers be trying to catch it, but I got you. This is just for entertainment purposes only. It's all jokes. It's just jokes.
clear when I said they're pigs and they wash their sheets. That's what you said.
Absolutely.
Nigga look like a pig. Fuck. I hate niggas like this, bro.
And sitting in jail, pending charges on this case, you thought that this was appropriate to send the 11-year-old who was murdered to mother.
Well, nobody would listen to me, so I was trying to defend myself. Can I speak?
No, sir. Wait for a question, please.
May I retrieve the exhibit?
Go ahead.
Approach me with exhibit 312.
312.
Take a moment to look at that letter, please.
Was the previous exhibit admitted?
Move to admit 311 if I didn't.
No objection.
311 is admitted.
Sir, on the second page, that which shows the envelope which was sent to, again, J.G. Batista and addressed from Joesph Adam Zieler with the same numbers. Is that also a letter you wrote?
I concede I wrote all this.
And in this second letter, you told you directed this towards Jan Cornell, correct? And when you said this,
I can't say unless you show me the letter.
I am. I'm going to direct you to the page right now, page 3. So it's the page right after the envelope picture. On the second paragraph. Did you address to Jan Cornell the following? The only way, underlined, is to admit you possibly could have slept with me as a night encounter and you can't remember, you won't be sure, you won't retest. Did you?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Look at nigga, he guilty. He looked like when a kid get in trouble at school and then the parent shows them all the evidence before they get their ass whooped. Or the progress report come in. You come on home hype and shit and the progress. Why the fuck you got 3 Fs? Huh? Huh? Hold on. I'm not sure. That's the type of energy giving off, bro. Nigga got 3 Fs.
I don't see Jan Cornell's name above that. You said Jan Cornell's name was there on
No,
that
I
page.
said, who were you, I'll ask it this way. Who were you addressing when you made that statement? Is there someone else in the Batista family you slept with? According to you?
Let the witness answer the question before you ask another question, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, yes.
Why didn't zoom in on
Yes to what?
I don't know. Ask it again.
My back itch, chat.
I'm
I'm trying to scratch it. I can't even reach
question,
it.
right? A very open-ended question. When you made that statement in the letter, who were you directing that
Jan
to?
Cornell, I was trying to get her to ask to retest NB32A because it doesn't contain my DNA. I don't believe it is.
You've been sitting here for the last 2.5 days, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you hear the testimony of who was it that retested?
Jim Pollock.
Of Jim Pollock. Was it Jim Pollock?
Jim Pollock. It was
The retest.
Deb Ortman, Vicky Molino,
All right.
all of them.
Well, the DNA witnesses, did you hear them say that they actually did retest NB32? That they actually took the sheet, recut another sample, and had another analyst do the same test? Did you hear that?
Yes.
So the retesting was done.
I believe FDLE is siding with the prosecution. Of course they're going to say that.
Okay, and their opinion on that was that Jan Cornell was excluded from that DNA.
I don't think she was. I think that if it was listed, that's the reason I asked for it to be retested, because I don't believe that.
Now, if you flip the page for me and you go to the 4th page of this pack, of that exhibit, and I'm going to ask you to look at the bottom. Did you also direct this to Jan Cornell? If you knowingly allow them to convict the wrong man out of spite and vengeance, I will drag this, parentheses, and you, Robin and Lisa, through appeals all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. I wrote that.
And did you also write on the next line, I'm innocent, I will prove it, no matter how long it takes. Do you really want the rest of your life spent in court?
Yes, I wrote that.
You're threatening then Miss Cornell with what you're going to do. Should she not? What do you want her to do?
Well, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, so what? I can't write that. I mean, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, and I'm calling her a pig for not washing her sheets.
Oh shit.
There's a paper right here that
Mr.
they're trying to
Zieler.
hide from you.
Mr.
Right
Zieler.
here. I still see the body of 11-year-old
Mr.
Robbie
Zieler.
Cornell with the hair of her
Ladies and
killer.
gentlemen, the jury will step out.
The blonde hair.
Mr. Zieler, the effort you've made to introduce evidence that was not previously placed before the jury is an improper action by you, sir. The document has been handed to your counsel. When I ask you to respond to the questions that are given, that is not an invitation for you to give a narrative or a soliloquy or your entire personal belief about your prosecution. You have made yourself a witness in this matter, and as such, must comport with the rules of court. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that in any way unclear? Is that in any way unclear, Mr. Zieler? I will ask counsel, did you have a discussion with Mr. Zieler about the potential for contempt if there are further breaches?
No. Conversation about contempt related to whether he was going to testify when we came back before.
If you continue to act in this manner, I will have contempt proceedings. Is that clear?
Yes.
Bring the jury back in.
During her closing arguments, prosecutor Stephanie Russell informed
Nigga try to pull out a random piece of paper and was gonna run with that shit, bro. Niggas is insane.
the jury that the case was straightforward. DNA evidence directly implicated Joesph Zieler as the murderer. Defense attorney Lee Hollander told the jury that the presence of blonde hair at the crime scene and the extreme violence of the act suggested a personal motive. Given that Jan and the defendant had no known previous connection, he indicated that another individual was the true culprit. On May 18, 2023, after several hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict.
This nigga is guilty
In the
on all
Circuit Court
counts.
of the 20th Judicial Circuit and in Fort Lee County, Florida.
That's
the
what they
State of
gonna
Florida
say.
versus Joesph Adam Zieler in case number 16 CF 455. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Robin Cornell. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Lisa Story. So say we all, signed on May the 18th, 2023, by the foreperson.
Any requests from the defense? Ladies and gentlemen, please listen very carefully to my question. I'm going to go through your juror numbers. I'm going to ask each of you the same question.
5 weeks later, after the jury had voted by a 10-2 margin to recommend death for Joesph Zieler, all parties returned to court to hear Judge Branning's ruling. However, just a few hours before the decision, Zieler motioned to his public defender to indicate he had something private he wanted to share with him.
What's that?
Nigga, he literally elbowed the last person that was supposed to help him get out of this situation, bro. He said, he really T-Rex to that shit.
Relax. I'm calm. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Relax. I'm calm. Relax.
I used to box. I've taken a lot better shots than that.
Yeah, well, relax. I ain't doing nothing to you. The court's review of other capital cases has led the court to conclude that the death penalty would be a proportionate sentence in this case. Therefore, the court concludes that under the laws of the state of Florida, the defendant has forfeited his right to live. Accordingly, it is ordered and adjudged that the defendant, Joesph Adam Zieler, is hereby sentenced to death for the murder of Robin Cornell and the murder of Lisa Story. The defendant is committed to the custody of the State of Florida Department of Corrections for the execution of this sentence as provided by law. The defendant is hereby notified that this conviction and sentence are subject to automatic review by the Florida Supreme Court. Any objection from the state to the court's statements?
No, Your Honor.
Any objection from the defense to the court statements?
No, sir.
Mr. Zieler, that is the sentence and judgment of the court. Stand over to be fingerprinted. You are remanded to the custody of the sheriff for transport to the Department of Corrections.
Sick. I love when justice is served. Oh, yes, I love it.
First of all, I'd like to thank this, because without this, we wouldn't all be here. The dedication, the compassion, the hard work, the everything that was put in.
But can we peep how some of these niggas got that shit on? Like his suit nice and tailored, he got that shit on. He looked like off-brand Ryan Reynolds. This nigga looked like Brian Reynolds, you feel me?
It's nothing like TV, I promise.
Tell me he don't look like an off-brand Ryan Reynolds, bro. Tell me I'm lying, bro.
Nothing. But nothing can take the place of hearing the words today that justice for Robin and justice for Lisa has happened. He has received the ultimate punishment that the state of Florida can give, which is the death penalty. He will never see a free moment. He will never hurt another individual on this earth. For that, I cannot be more grateful. And again, I have to go back to this team, all of them, who have stood by me for years during some very dark moments. And thank you for always giving me respect and letting me be a voice for my daughter and my friend. because I have done it, and I hope very proudly. I love them both, and I never, ever want anyone to forget either one of them. They were here, they lived. Some evil monster cut their lives so short, so unfair. But now they have peace, and now we can let them have peace. Just thank everyone, all of you.
Justice is served.
Like Jan said, I'd like to thank the Cape Coral Police Department, all the particular individuals that hung with this case so long, to the prosecution team, to the administrators that did their job, to the investigators that went day after day, year after year, never giving up hope.
Did they stick by each other for
Thanks
all those years? Oh,
to the
wow.
system that it worked. Thanks to everybody that showed support to me, my family, Lisa's family. It was a long, hard road. Words can't express the gratitude that I feel. I hope that Lisa and Robin have a little bit more of a smile on their face today.
This is off topic, but his voice is really soothing. Like I would love for that man to tell me a bedtime story, or like just a story of the shit he went through in his life, bro. Because that his voice is soothing as fuck. Become a narrator or some shit.
For 26 years, Jan Cornell bore the haunting weight of her daughter Robin's and friend Lisa's stories, unsolved murders. Each day since that dark night in 1990, she was consumed by grief and the relentless drive for justice. In a testament to a mother's boundless love, Jan clung to every glimmer of hope, notably the breakthroughs in forensic technology. And when the justice system finally arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced Joesph Zieler, it didn't just shed light on a chilling past. It restored a small measure of faith to those who needed it most.
Pack him up. I'm glad that nigga got in jail, bro. Fuck that nigga. That nigga felt like, we can't even fucking game, bro. Like, bro, this nigga just looked evil, bro.